The nominations are out, but who takes the Ballon d'Or this year? Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. Yes, it's another year. It's another Ballon d'Or contendership we are going to be talking about in today's video. We've got now the 30 nominations for that award that is going to be announced in October. And we're going to go through the awards that have been presented, the nominees, and talk about my personal grievances towards them, as well as my opinions and predictions on who I think should win it and who I think maybe will win it, in all honesty. But before we get into all of that, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both things are always incredibly greatly appreciated. And also, I encourage you to get involved in the comment section as well. I'm sure you have a lot of interesting thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it. That'll make it interesting and great reading down below. So do get involved down there. But without further ado, let's get on with the video. Let's talk the Ballon d'Or for 2023. Look, can I just say right off the bat, these awards are a little weird, especially for the other ones in this kind of category. We not only saw the nominees for the Ballon d'Or itself in this kind of little ceremony thing, but we also saw the nominees for the Yashin Award, which is the Best Goalkeeper Award, and the nominees for the Ballon d'Or Young Player of the Year Award as well. My grievance to this is that if you are nominated for either of those two awards, maybe you could be nominated for all three, that should automatically put you ahead of everybody else in that category, right? Take the young player, for example. In the young players category, you've got players like Jude Bellingham and Musiala who are nominated for the young player, but they've also been put forward for the Ballon d'Or category as well. That should automatically rule out everybody else in that young player category from winning it. Because if you're not good enough to make it into the Ballon d'Or category, how are you overtaking the two that are in the Ballon d'Or category? Likewise for the goalkeeping one as well. The likes of Emi Martinez, Andre Onana and Yassine Bono are in the Ballon d'Or category as well as the Yashin category, which should automatically make them frontrunners for that trophy itself. So, therefore, we shouldn't be having the conversation of having other members of that category be challenging for that award because they weren't good enough to get into the Ballon d'Or bit, which makes them worse than the others, right? I'm just saying, right off the bat, that should be the case. So we shouldn't be considering the other contenders. We should be mainly talking about the three that have been nominated for the Ballon d'Or, and we should be talking mainly about the two that have been nominated for the young player as well as the Ballon d'Or itself. That's my first grievance out of the way. My second grievance is Alisson Becker. I wasn't expecting him to win it, but I was at least expecting him to be nominated for the Yashin Award and for the Best Goalkeeper Award. To me, he is the best goalkeeper in world football right now. And I know that he didn't have the best campaign with Liverpool in terms of winning anything last season, but he was still a major part as to why they finished fifth. He was still a consistent enough goalkeeper that he was incredible last season. I was expecting him to at least be nominated and recognised for his performances. Well, for whatever reason, not happening. Not happening, wasn't even nominated, wasn't even mentioned, nothing. I find that very strange, very weird, and I would like FIFA to explain themselves on that one, because to me, I would be annoyed if I'm Alisson, because that wasn't, like I say, best goalkeeper in world football in my opinion. Consistent to another level throughout the past couple of years, and has been on top of his game for a long time, and he deserves recognition for it. That obviously didn't come this time around, so I'm annoyed by that as well. A couple of other little grievances. There was no Marcus Rashford or John Stones in the Ballon d'Or nominations. I think two could be worthy of an argument. I think John Stones more so than Marcus Rashford. I thought Stones was absolutely excellent last season, and I thought his change in position, especially being the more inverted midfielder, that new sort of role he's picked up under Pep Guardiola, has evolved his game and made him even better. Obviously, on an individual level, I thought he was brilliant, but also on a team level as well. He's a treble winner. But those are just, again, a couple of little grievances before we get into the main bulk of the video, which is discussing the nominations, which we'll get onto right now. Now, the nominations include plenty of top class, world class talent. There are several treble winners in there. There are a few World Cup winners in there as well. A few league title holders. There are a few former Ballon d'Or winners themselves. There's no Cristiano Ronaldo, so thank God for that. And there are some other names as well that may have had either good seasons to great seasons. A few ones that finished runners-up. A few that finished with brilliant individual seasons, but with nothing to show for it in terms of silverware. There's a right mixture of contenders, from top quality, close contenders, to outside contenders, to contenders that are just there seemingly to make up the numbers. Ones that are, in my opinion, making up the numbers include Josko Gvardiol, Kim Min-jae, Kolo Muani, Mohamed Salah, Andre Onana, Kvaratskhelia, Emi Martinez, Barella, Yassine Bono, Lautaro Martinez, Antoine Griezmann, and Musiala. They're just a few names right off the bat that I can see making up numbers, and that's not to say that they haven't had good seasons. That's just to say that they were there simply to make up the numbers and get recognition for what has been a good season by all of them. Even the likes of Salah, again, Liverpool's season was poor last time out, but Salah was again another one of the players that can hold his head up high. He again contributed over 30 goals, over 30 goal contributions last season. A brilliant individual season for him, even if the team wasn't up to the same standard and ultimately was below par and underwhelming for a large part of it. You've got Kvaratskhelia, who started off the season beautifully with Napoli, but fell off towards the end. And even though he managed to help Napoli towards their first Scudetto in a number of years, or ever, I think. I can't remember off the top of my head. But again, he kind of fell off towards the end of last season. Gvardiol, quality defender, got his big money move to Manchester City, but ultimately at Leipzig, that nothing really to write home about from him, especially. Onana got to the Champions League final. Emi Martinez, brilliant during the World Cup, but of course, if you're holding just solely on that, it's not really a reflection of the overall year. Lautaro Martinez again got to the Champions League final and became runners-up. Griezmann, not 100% sure why Griezmann's in there, but Griezmann is in there. And like I say, Musiala, a youngster who should be a top contender for the youngster award, alongside Jude Bellingham, of course, who is another one who's been nominated, and the likes of him, Bukayo Saka, and Martin Odegaard are also outside contenders, in my opinion. Of course, both Arsenal players had great seasons for the most part, and then ultimately crumbled towards the end as a team. Again, outside chances. Bellingham, decent season with Dortmund, of course, and Dortmund obviously bottled it on the final day of the season against Bayern Munich to obviously hand Bayern their 12th title in a row, or 11th title in a row, whatever it was. Also, we've got Kevin De Bruyne, slightly higher contender alongside Bernardo Silva and Ruben Diaz, the Manchester City trio there. Slightly outside contenders, I would say. Probably not going to win it, but should be high up on the list in that kind of chronological order. Then you've got former Ballon d'Or winners of Robert Lewandowski, who enjoyed a successful season with Barcelona, getting them back to winning the La Liga title, alongside former Ballon d'Or winners in Luka Modric and Karim Benzema. Not exactly had the best of seasons with Real Madrid, but again, individually, still pretty decent, but nothing to write home about. So they drop down even more. Vinicius Jr. continues to impress and continues to go under the radar, in my opinion. He should be not a top contender, but again, an outsider maybe. Harry Kane, if it wasn't for Erling Haaland this season, we will be talking more about the brilliant individual season of Harry Kane. Again, we talk about how Alisson and Salah had great seasons for Liverpool. this season in difficult circumstances, in which obviously individually they were great, but as a team they were terrible. Well, if there ever is going to be that kind of title for that kind of bracket, Harry Kane fits in there perfectly with the season he had in a very underwhelming and uninspiring Tottenham team over the course of the last campaign. And of course, there's Victor Osimhen. We talked about Kvaratskhelia being a big part of Napoli. This guy spearheaded the Napoli attack that drove them to becoming Scudetto and Serie A champions. This guy was immense. This guy was absolute quality, and this guy led them to that title, was a massive part of that machine. Napoli played some great football. They probably could have gone on to do, they should have done bigger and better in the Champions League, you would have imagined, but it's still a fantastic achievement what they did in Italy nonetheless. Then you move on to your slightly outside contenders, and these are the ones that are even closer up that kind of mountain as to who I think should be in the top three. And it's difficult to really separate them. Kylian Mbappe, look, he's playing in France, he's playing with PSG. Like, of course he's going, and of course he's FIFA's golden boy right now. Of course he's going to be up there. Winning the French league, easy. But what he did for France in that World Cup was incredible. The way that he dragged that France squad, particularly in the final, through hell to even get them towards that penalty shootout was incredible. Scored a hat-trick in the final, something that hadn't been done since 1966. An absolute incredible achievement by Mbappe. And again, he was so close to adding a second and consecutive World Cup to his already impressive resume as a young player. What's going to happen with his future remains to be seen, but of course he's going to be an outside contender for this trophy. And then you move on to your Ilkay Gundogan's and your Julian Alvarez's. And again, it's difficult because again they could easily break into that top three, you would imagine. But I'm just going to move then to the outside. Gundogan come up clutch so many times for City over the course of his career, and none more so than last season towards the end of the campaign when the pressure was on, when the expectation was lifted, when the treble was on. He was the man who stepped up time and time again. He was the man of the match in the FA Cup final. He got them through so many clutch moments and led that team with his impressive leadership and, of course, his captaincy of that Manchester City team. He was absolutely incredible and deserves to be well within a contendership for this particular trophy. And Julian Alvarez, name me a player who's had a better year in terms of winning silverware than this guy. And he's been a big part of it as well. Not maybe as big of a part as he may have liked. He might have liked a bigger part in particularly the treble winning season, but winning the World Cup and being a part of that, having the same mentality to help drive City forward and be a guy who, when called upon to capitalise for a Haaland who needed a rest, or a Haaland who needed someone alongside him, or a Haaland who was out for whatever reason, Alvarez was the guy to step up. Alvarez was the guy to step up, and you're seeing it still this season in the early stages of the campaign. He is stepping up yet again, winning the World Cup, winning the FA Cup, winning the Premier League, and winning the Champions League. Has there ever been a better year in football? Absolutely phenomenal stuff from the Argentine, and again, should be high up the list in my opinion, and he's only going to get bigger and better in my opinion as Julian Alvarez. And it's sickening to think that City have Haaland, who we haven't even spoke about yet, at their disposal, as well as this guy. He's absolutely incredible in my opinion. But the top three belong to these men. They are Lionel Messi, Erling Haaland and Rodri. Not necessarily in that order, but those three are the ones to look out for in particular. In my opinion, it's going to go to either Haaland or Messi. Haaland, of course, has had a phenomenal season with Manchester City. Treble winners, breaking goal-scoring records left, right and centre. There were a few question marks over how he would take to a new league, how he would take to the Premier League with the added expectation, the added physicality, the big money that he was obviously going to be on. The guy took to it like a duck to water. He has been absolutely phenomenal this past year. He's been out of this world. He's an absolute freak of nature. He's an alien with how well he has done and how he continues to seemingly reach new heights and evolve his game even more, and how he continues to find the back of the net no matter what is going on. The guy is absolutely phenomenal and deserves to be within the top 3. And I think if he doesn't win it this year, he definitely will. Maybe next year, maybe the year after, but he definitely will at some point, because that's just the kind of player that he is. But I think he faces close competition from Lionel Messi, who of course completed football at the age of 35, winning the World Cup in dramatic style as it was. It was perfect for Messi. It's the perfect fairy tale ending for him in that aspect. And let's face it, the story isn't exactly over. He's off in America right now, absolutely killing it with Inter Miami, and he's still wanting to play for the defending world champions of Argentina, of course. So we haven't seen the last of Lionel Messi on a footballing level, whether it be for club or for country as of right now. But of course, a French league title, French Cup, whatever it may be, and the World Cup, and being 35 years of age and still going extremely strong, dragging his international side through thick and thin in that World Cup to obviously drag them to the final and then to help them win it in dramatic style, is absolutely phenomenal for a guy of his age. For me, it's between those two, and I'm thinking how FIFA would think about this when I say those two, because the one player who I've not mentioned is Rodri. And for me, I think there is a very, very strong case that this guy could thwart both of them. I think there is a very, very strong case that this guy could thwart both of them. Again, treble winner, of course, but it's about the clutch moments for Rodri. It's about how everything that City do, it's about how everything that Pep Guardiola has built has been built around Rodri. Everything goes through Rodri. Everything positive is all about Rodri. The amount of passes he has, the amount of touches he has on the ball, the goal scoring moments, the clutch moments, everything goes through this guy, and it's always positive. It's always something good for City. And I genuinely do believe that Rodri deserves to be within a massive shout of this. And I don't think he will, because he's not an attacker. He's not a goal scorer. He comes up with big goals in big moments, but he's not a natural goal scorer like a Messi, like a Haaland. And obviously FIFA absolutely love them. And if they can, they will definitely do it. Obviously, a defensive midfielder in Luka Modric, or a more defensive midfielder, should we say, in Luka Modric, obviously won this trophy a few years ago when he dragged his team to a World Cup final and obviously won the Champions League in the same year, in what was a phenomenal year for the Croatian midfielder. But you can just sort of tell with the way that things have gone in the past that they don't necessarily like that. They like the more flashy names. They like the more star names. They like the more big names. And Rodri, as good as what he is and as fantastic as what he is, unfortunately isn't that. But that shouldn't mean he doesn't deserve to get the recognition on this. And I would say, in my opinion, if I was giving it, I'd give it to Rodri. Because Haaland's been fantastic, but Haaland is going to win this trophy for years to come. Messi, he's already got like 7 of these. Like, he's been absolutely phenomenal. And there's no taking away what he has done, and his fairy tale career continues. But for me, Rodri, for the clutch moments, for everything that goes through him that's positive for Manchester City, for everything that he has done, because let's face it, I didn't think he was that good. When he first came to Man City, I didn't think he was that great. But then he proved me wrong. It took him like a season, in some sort of typical fashion of Pep Guardiola signings. It takes them like a season to really get used to the philosophy and the style of play and obviously the culture and everything. But once they get used to it, that's it. It clicks. And once it clicks, they start to show their real worth. They start to show everything, their potential, their talent, their quality, everything. And that's what's happened to Rodri since he's arrived at Man City. And like I say, he's not the biggest name, he's not the flashiest name, but he is important, very much important. And I think he deserves his recognition in this competition. Do I think he'll win it? Absolutely not. I still would back Haaland or Messi. I think they're going to be the front two runners in this, but for me, Rodri deserves special recognition because he's been absolutely phenomenal for City over the course of this past year. And that's all I've got to say on the matter. These are the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of the Ballon d'Or nominations for 2023? Who do you think will win it? Who do you think deserves special mention? And do you agree with what I said about these certain things in regards to the sort of Venn diagram of these awards and the nominations? Do you think it's pointless now to look at the Young Player Award and think of anyone past Bellingham and Musiala, as well as what I said about the goalkeeping awards as well? I'd love to know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, feelings, whatever you want to call it, in the comment section down below. Would love to hear from you all. Otherwise, hit the like button if you're on the way out, if you enjoy the video. Subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things always and forever greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch. This has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see you and speak to you all again soon in another video or live stream or whatever it may be. Cheers, guys. Have a good day, and I'll see you soon.